we have our new segment, Goat or Nope. So let's get into it. This is Goat.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Or Nope. For those of you that have not seen Goat or Nope, this is where I will put two pictures up. And even if we think there is a goat outside of these two pictures, of these two, we will have to choose which we think is the goat of these two and why. First up is this.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready? I'm going to ease you into this.
I'm ready.
All right. Goat or Nope? Which is the Goat or Nope movie of Captain America? Civil War or The Winter Soldier?
Oh my gosh.
Da-da-da-da. It's a hard one, right?
That is a hard one.
You can also explain why is it hard? Why is this so hard for you? Because in your eyes, do you see these, I'm assuming, as very, very good movies, arguably
two of
some
the
of
top.
the best.
Yeah. Two of the top.
Right.
I would say so. Winter Soldier was that moment for me where the Russo brothers came in and said, this is what we're thinking for the MCU, like as directors.
Right.
And just the tone of it, the way the characters were, the seriousness behind it, that just blew my mind. And I think Civil War was more of that, it just kind of rode the wave of Winter Soldier. Both really fantastic Marvel movies for me, some of the best. I think I'm gonna go with
Oh, this is hard. Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with Civil War.
Why is that?
I'm gonna go with Civil War because the conflict, it was so relatable, the conflict, the two sides that were portrayed.
Definitely.
Captain America's reasoning for making the choice he did, and Tony Stark's reasoning for making the choice he did. And I feel like during that whole movie, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I would pick Cap's side.
Yeah.
And then I'd flip and I'd be like, Tony Stark, he's got a point,
Right.
And then at the very end, with those two guys like literally duking it out, like in the comics,
Gut-wrenching.
was insane. That last fight and how hard they were fighting each other, like not pulling any punches, was so good. And like, yeah, just really hard to watch because I love the characters both so much. Mm-hmm. And also there was not a clear winner. You know what I mean? It's like, and I kind of like that. It's like life is like that, at least for me. When you come from this world of like superheroes, there's a good guy and a bad guy, and the good guy always wins. And Civil War is very clearly like,
we all lose.
Yeah, we all lose. Yeah.
When heroes fight each other, we all lose.
Yeah.
I mean, not the audience because it's like really awesome. But
yes.
Yeah. No, this was hard for me too. And I love these movies. These are top MCU films and obviously top Captain America films. And when Winter Soldier came out, this was proof that these movies could go beyond comic book movies, that this could be a political thriller, that it doesn't have to just be a comic book genre, that it could be in the vein of other movie genres and be a comic book movie at the same time. And that was something that changed the course of the MCU for the better for many, many years. Mm-hmm. So it was a very important film to the saga of the MCU. Mm-hmm. No one can argue that. However, when you do Civil War and you have heroes going against each other for a reason that makes sense, and that is key, because you could have a Batman versus Superman and you could have them become friends because their moms are named Martha.
I know. Is your mom named Martha?
But it doesn't make sense to the plot and while they're fighting. And the story that unfolded in Civil War, it made it very hard to choose sides because both sides made so much sense.
Yeah.
And that was so compelling to the story. On top of that, when you're doing so much in a movie already with so many characters, and then you add a huge character that we've never seen, like Spider-Man and Black Panther, and it's done so seamlessly and doesn't take away from the overall story, that is really what makes Captain America Civil War my goat out of these two movies and why it is such a special film.
Yeah. It's like even with the secondary characters, it made sense that why they took the sides they did.
It did.
It was
did. And everything
amazing.
led
and they
up
were
to...
and they were conflicted too. They were conflicted, you know. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Black Widow being in the middle of these two and kind of switching sides in the beginning. Spoiler alert, 10 years later. You know, it's kind of switching sides in the beginning. In the middle of it, none of these people felt good about going against people that they fought with. Against even bigger threats. And on top of that, this movie set up Infinity War. Without Civil War, I don't think Infinity War would have worked as well, with these fractions and these teams being divided, with Captain America and his crew on one side and Iron Man and his crew on the other, and really not being able to come together to defeat this big threat really lent well to the story of Infinity War. So I think even that alone, with Civil War being able to do so much in its own movie, but also set up what's going to happen in Infinity War Avengers, that alone makes this such an important film as well to the tapestry of the MCU and why this is such an amazing movie. When my dad saw this movie, he hated it. He hated it
Which one?
because... when my dad saw Civil War, he hated this movie because it was very hard for him to see heroes fighting against each other. He didn't hate it because it was a bad movie. He hated it because I don't like them fighting each other, because it was so jarring to see such great heroes, such established characters going against each other. It was hard to watch. And that is also what makes this movie so beautiful. My dad is like, I hate this movie. I don't want to choose a side. That means
That's
worked.
the whole thing. Yeah. That's why it's Civil War. That's it. Like, it's not like, you know, it's not so clean cut.
No.
You know, why are they fighting? Why is it a civil war where you're it's easy to fight the like unknown enemy,
the
alien,
the big bad, who's
the alien hordes,
evil.
The bad alien hordes that are trying to take over Earth. It's another thing to like fight against your own teammate, your own countrymen, and stand for that. Yeah.
All right.
There we go. Civil War took it.
With that down, what about this?
Oh no.
Which is the better casting? Hugh Jackman as Wolverine or Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool with his pants down?
Wow. Better casting.
Why? Tell me first.
Why am I struggling with this?
Why is this hard for you? Why is this a struggle?
I feel like, okay, so the way that I see it, I think Ryan Reynolds was like perfect for Deadpool. The combination of humor and dark wit and like just like kind of a self-inflicting, you know, self-deprecating kind of person.
Yes.
Perfect for Deadpool. And I think that's been consistent over the 3 movies that he's appeared in. And every time he's made an appearance, it's a consistent thing.
Yes.
Hugh Jackman has gone through many different iterations of Wolverine and has kind of morphed and, you know, adapted to it and still stayed Wolverine in all those. And I think he's got a longer runway with who he made Wolverine. And he really kind of crafted his own Wolverine in the movies, you know, like defined a different Wolverine that was different from the comics, but still the same. and he's been a guest star in some movies. He's been the lead,
Yep.
and so he's really had to run the gamut of quite more than what
It's a good point.
Ryan Reynolds has. Ryan Reynolds just kept doing the same thing for the 3 movies, and it's great. But I think
Fantastic.
Wolverine, he's had to play Old Man Logan. He's had to play all the different iterations of Wolverine.
Japanese Logan,
Yeah.
and horrible X-Men Origins Logan,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
Logan,
Yeah. And
and
so I think
good.
I think the one thing about Wolverine, and they made fun of this in the Deadpool movie, was Hugh Jackman is a towering 6'2" or something like that, and Wolverine's always been like this short dude in the comics, and so that's he's like a dominating presence in the movies because of his stature. And Wolverine, kind of the cool thing about him and the reason why he's a Wolverine is he's like a little dude with just like a ferocity.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Hugh Jackman ever captured that, just because he can't. He's just a big guy and he can't really be the like tiny little, honey badger that the Wolverine in the comics is. So, but who is the goat?
The goat casting.
Goat casting. They're both really good. I think that I could never see another. Well, let's see. That's tough. Dang, that's tough. I'm going to go against my gut and say Ryan Reynolds. I'm going to say Ryan Reynolds. Like, I can't see Deadpool separate from him. Could I see another actor take Wolverine and like give us another aspect of Wolverine? Maybe. I think Hugh Jackman's great. I think he did the legacy proud. Awesome. Stand up applause for him. For all that he's done for Wolverine. But I could see them, like, say if they reset the whole thing and cast another actor as Wolverine, I could see like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting why they did that. If they did that with Ryan Reynolds, I don't know. I'd be like, it's not. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Like, there's no question. That's my vote. That's my vote.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think some would argue that they couldn't see anyone else playing Wolverine. You know what I mean? Because how long he's played it for. I mean, he's played it for 25 years. That's insane. So
that's insane.
It's going to be hard for some, not all people, to see another actor play Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they had a hard time getting Deadpool off the ground and getting Deadpool right. He was introduced in X-Men Origins. Ryan Reynolds was playing the character, and they got the character completely wrong. You know what I mean? And so from the comics to the screen, I think Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is straight ripped from the comics. Like, exactly what you get from the comics is exactly what you get on the big screen with Ryan Reynolds. When it comes to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, he has really made this character his own. So much so that people will always automatically associate Wolverine with Hugh Jackman, a 6'2" jacked man, which is not necessarily what we get in the comics. It might look a little bit more like that in the comics based on Hugh Jackman being this character for a quarter century, but that isn't the Wolverine that we grew up with from the comics.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a very fine difference between the two. When it comes to casting, that means you're casting what you have seen from the comics and from the literature and what's come before and put that exactly on screen. And so because it is the GOAT casting, not the GOAT like character, which one do you love more, Wolverine or Deadpool? Because it is the GOAT casting, I believe I do have to go with Deadpool as well. Because Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, it's probably one of the most GOAT castings of a comic book character to a big screen character that we've ever seen.
It's like Patrick Stewart as Professor X. It's like,
yes, it's arguably
it.
in the top
Yeah.
5 to 10
Yeah.
of best castings of all time. And I honestly, regardless of if I could see another character in it, whatever that is, I really think this is the perfect representation of Deadpool. So I do also have to go with
All right.
Ryan
Nice.
Reynolds.
Nice.
All right. Now on to the next one. My friend Rocky is a big theatrical movie musical person.
Oh gosh.
I'm hoping that you've seen both of these because I didn't ask you because I didn't want to spoil it. But I want to ask you, which is the GOAT musical movie of these two? Grease or The Greatest Showman? Have you seen both of these?
I have.
Do you enjoy both of these?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. That's all I need to know. Because if it was like obvious, that would be very hard. You're like, oh, I don't even like British,
No.
But for me personally, who is also a big musical person, I love these musical movies.
Yeah.
I think they are fantastic. And I think the music drives the story, which is one of the best parts about musical movies, is when the music matters. And I feel like in these movies, the music matters to the narrative of the story very, very much.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so this is tough for me. These are all tough. I guess that would make, that's why it makes it interesting. Because Grease was born and has a stage version, right, that the movie was based off of. But The Greatest Showman does not. The Greatest Showman just exists on celluloid.
Right.
So that's the only existence that we know of The Greatest Showman is the film version.
It will be on stage, though. It will be.
Are they working on something?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
This is the greatest show.
So
this is musical movie, though. You're right. There is a difference.
There's a difference. Yeah. I like the music, maybe just because it came out more recently. I like the music of Greatest Showman better than Grease.
I don't even know what I'm going to choose, to be honest. This is hard.
This is really hard. When I went to watch Greatest Showman, I was like, this looks so cheesy. Why are we even watching this? And I walked out of that movie going, this is so good. And I couldn't stop listening to that soundtrack for like weeks. And I still love that soundtrack. So, gosh, this is tough. I think that for me, I'm going to go with, I think I'm giving myself too many excuses. I'm going to go with Greatest Showman because that story is more relatable to me. Of that dad's plight, trying to like make a best path for his family, and just holding on to his dreams, but also like, he saw something, that he could create this like world of imagination, and just lived in this like beauty of seeing the potential in life. I think I relate more to that, at the core, like, and hanging on to his family at the core, versus Grease, which is like, hey, hot lady,
I got you
from the other side of the tracks. Hey, baby. And then, and then kind of following both of their stories a little bit, although it's a really entertaining movie.
Dang.
And I think the casting in Grease is amazing. So yeah, I'll go with Greatest Showman though, but I don't know if that's because it's just like all the bells and whistles are more modern, and I really dug the direction in that movie too. So yeah, I'm going to go with Greatest Showman.
Oh man, this is really hard for me because like I grew up, like Grease was my jam. Like when I was a little kid, and they're lowering the engine into the Grease Lightning car, like I would get on my chair and like and pretend like it was a very, very meaningful movie to me. The songs, the costumes, the simplicity of the story, very easy to follow, even if you're a young kid. It had all the makings there, you know, and I even watched Grease too, which was not great.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. And so, man, it's very hard for me because when Greatest Showman came out, I was like, this is one of the greatest musical movies I've ever seen in my life. Like the set designs, the choreography, the songs,
great.
like every song is a banger.
Yeah.
And so it's so hard for me because like Grease and The Greatest Showman, it's not just a couple hit songs. Like almost every song is great, right? And so, yeah, this is so tough for me too. I don't just make it hard on my guest host. I make it hard on me as well. And it's crazy because we think a lot alike because we chose a lot of the same. But for me, I really think it has, and maybe it's recency bias. I don't know. You call it recency bias, but I think out of the two, The Greatest Showman is the better musical movie. The cast is incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
The set design, the message of the story, the costumes, the choreography, the songs, like everything lined up so perfectly. And in today's day and age, it's not easy to come out with a musical movie and have people love it. Actually, more or not, they don't love it because they're used to the classics. They're used to Grease, you know, and all these other classics. And so to have something like The Greatest Showman, which when it came out in theaters, it wasn't received well. And then over time, while it was in theaters, it made almost $500 million. Yeah. And it kind of grew with word of mouth, and people were like, hey, you should, like, this is actually really good. Like, you should watch this. Grease was an overnight success. And so I really think like The Greatest Showman speaks to people that aren't just musical people. And that is the power of that movie. My wife is not a musical person, but when she saw the movie, she was like, I love this movie because it's not singing just for singing's sake. The messages in the songs matter to the story. Yeah. And that's really why I think The Greatest Showman is the better of the two when it comes to The Greatest Showman versus Grease. So yeah, I agree. And I love The Greatest Showman and I love Grease. And this was really hard, but I think it really comes down to that. Man, it's a great musical. This is making me want to watch it again.
I'm surprised you didn't put like Wicked up there. Like that one's all like, as far as musical movies right now.
Yeah, but it's
all the rage.
It's not done, and it's a part one of a part two.
Sure.
So a bit harder. Glad that you brought that up, because what is a part one versus a part two movie look like? And is it fair because you had a movie before to build on that? Well, my friends, let's decide between these two movies. The Dark Knight versus the Batman. Which is the GOAT Batman movie of these two?
I'm going to go with Dark Knight because I'm too much of a Christopher Nolan fan. I think that leans very heavily into my decision.
Right.
I think Matt Reeves did a great job with the Batman, better than I was expecting, to be honest.
I think he blew a lot of people away.
I think that even though Dark Knight is the second in the trilogy, the Christopher Nolan trilogy, I think as a standalone movie, it's incredible from beginning to end. And I don't necessarily need to watch Batman Begins or Batman. Sorry, what's the Batman?
The Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight Rises. I don't necessarily need to watch those to like get the full effect of the Dark Knight.
Right.
I think
and you
that
can't do that with the Batman because it's
Right.
the only movie that exists
Right.
right now.
And I think that the tipping scale too with the Dark Knight, I think it's a masterfully crafted film. The tipping point though for the Dark Knight for me is the Joker, and he is unbelievable. That character, that story, how he's portrayed in that movie, everything, even the all the attention that it got because
He died.
he died during,
Yeah.
before that movie came out. All of that just kind of, every time I watch that movie, I think about him dying,
Heightened it.
Yeah.
Everyone does, I feel
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it just,
It's hard not to.
yeah, it's hard to separate from that film. So yeah. And then the soundtrack in The Dark Knight is incredible. Hans Zimmer. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Dark Knight on this one.
Okay. When the Batman came out, I think it really took the world by storm because people were so obsessed with the Dark Knight trilogy. They couldn't possibly imagine another movie even comparing or touching that.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they couldn't even imagine Robert Pattinson as Batman. Well, the movie came out and it showed people that you can still do Batman in a different way, and that Robert Pattinson was a great Batman for this iteration.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, bringing it down back to the detective level, having the voiceover of him narrating it, the darkness of it, this world, this Gotham, what it looks like, it really heightened this movie into new territories that we had not seen on film before in a Batman movie. And that made this movie very, very special.
Mm-hmm.
However, when The Dark Knight came out, people weren't as hot on Batman. Batman Begins was received really well, but it didn't really invigorate the audience like we thought it would. People go back now and they say, wow, that was a great Batman movie. I forgot because of how good Dark Knight is, and it overshadows the other two movies. But when Dark Knight came out, it was the beginning of the MCU. 2008, Iron Man just dropped. It was really a shift in superhero movies, in the box office, in general audiences in general. And The Dark Knight still had an uphill battle to climb. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just a foregone conclusion. So we forget that. And what Christopher Nolan was able to do with this movie, with the times that it lives in, mirroring the time that we lived in 2008 with, the crises that we were going through with Wall Street, with the housing crisis, with the juxtaposition of the different classes and the 1%, everything that we were dealing with at that time all culminated into this Batman movie and really made it feel like of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very special film, but I do have to agree with you because it has Heath Ledger as the Joker, which is not even arguably, it is the best villain on screen of all time. And you can fight me on this, but what Heath Ledger did with this character, no one will ever be able to emulate again. Not Joaquin Phoenix, not Barry Keoghan. No one will ever be able to measure up what Heath Ledger did for the Joker on the big screen.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I do believe that The Dark Knight is the better Batman movie than The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Nice. Yeah, I think like every time I think about The Dark Knight, I think it's just a great film. It's not a comic book film. It's just a great film.
Want to know I got these scars?
Yeah, you just happen to have this weird psycho that puts like clown makeup and this guy who dresses in a bat outfit, but it's just a great story and a well-crafted film. And everything about it.
And there's such great scenes. I mean, the scene in particular in Dark Knight that really speaks to the time that we were living in is when the two boats have to choose.
Oh, gosh,
the boats on the prisoners and then the boats with the citizens have to choose who are they going to blow up? That was just an extremely mirroring moment to our society that we live in, and also how we deem our institutions, like the incarcerated and the prison systems and the middle class and the upper class. And it was just such a great moment to see in a movie that movie could have been taken and put in anywhere, not just in a comic book movie. And I think that's why that scene alone really separates The Dark Knight from any other superhero movie that we've seen thus far.
Yeah. That movie was just, it was riveting. It's like, it was so, I did not know, I could not, most movies you can see like, oh, okay, this is the part where blah, blah, blah is going to come to grips with, you know, the toil and change his ways and become Batman or whatever. That movie, I was like, I could not know what twists and turns Christopher Nolan was going to take. And I think that's why I love him so much as a director. Same. Because most of his movies, like, I have no idea where we're going, and not in a bad way, but it just in a like, I'm here with you, man. Wherever this journey you're taking me, I'm here with you, but I cannot predict. It's not cookie cutter.
I agree. This was a hard one too.
Yeah.
Because I think The Batman is a very good movie, and I cannot wait to see what his Dark Knight, his second one, will look like.
Yeah.
All right. That is our segment, GOAT or...
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Nope.